One of the leading political columnists in the country today weighing in on the Obama presidency, saying our commander-in-chief is tone-deaf when it comes to hot-button issues and is looking more and more like a one-term president. According to the latest Fox News Opinion Dynamics poll, just 43% of registered voters approve of the job the president is doing, while 49% say they disapprove. Let's talk about it. Rich Lowry, National Review editor, and Democratic pollster and strategist Bernard Whitman. Gentlemen, welcome to you both.
Hi there.
Hello.
All right, Bernard, do you think it's fair criticism?
I think it's a bit over the top. I mean, clearly, Obama as a candidate had so much more message discipline than is Obama as the president. And I think that what this president needs to do is focus squarely on the incredible strides that we've made over the past 2 years in stabilizing the economy and presenting health care to the American people and regulating Wall Street to make sure the kind of great recession that we're in the midst of now does not happen again. And when he steps on his own message by wading into debates about the mosque or back in the healthcare debate when he got involved in the controversy over Professor Gates being arrested by the Cambridge police, he does a great disservice to himself and his own party. We need to stay on message and stay focused on the November elections.
Yeah, and Rich, that was one of the primary criticisms, is that he doesn't stay on message. He seems like he doesn't want to acknowledge the polls at all. I mean, you don't want to govern by polls, but a lot of times, especially on hot-button issues like this Ground Zero Mosque, I mean, it is good to take the temperature of the country. And the fact that he's not listening to his advisors or they're not good. What's the problem?
Well, I think it's partly tone deafness. I think it's largely high-handedness, though. I think he really enjoyed that moment Friday night where he lectured to all of us about the First Amendment and how important the right to worship freely is in this country, something that all of us acknowledge and believe. But he loved that feeling of lecturing and being more righteous than the rest of us. When it really turned out he wasn't taking a position, he was voting present on the real question, which is whether we're actually going to build that mosque down at Ground Zero or not. So what he did has been a great boon to opponents of the mosque because he made it clear you can support the First Amendment at the same time you don't necessarily think it's wise to build that project. And it's also pressured Democrats, most famously Harry Reid, the second most powerful Democrat in the country, to come out and say that mosque should not be built at that particular location.
And Bernard, we hear those charges again and again, that he's lecturing or that he's condescending, he's talking down to the American people. Do you think he's aware that he's perceived that way, despite what his intentions may be? Can he turn that around?
I absolutely think he can turn it around. You know, I think the reports of his demise are greatly exaggerated. But I think what the president needs to do is take a page from the Clinton playbook. You know, President Clinton was roundly criticized for over-reliance on polls, but what people misunderstood was that Clinton did not use polls to determine where he stood on issues, but rather to better understand how to communicate in the most powerful way his positions to the American people. And I think that the firestorm that Obama waded into with his comments about the Ground Zero Mosque are really the failure to take into account how people feel about this issue and then work some messaging around that so he can communicate his position clearly, but do so in a way that contextualizes it and makes it clear that he understands the American people are very concerned about it.
What is his position on whether that mosque should be built there or not?
I don't think it's actually clear.
No one knows. He won't say.
But by the way, I don't think that he needs to. This is not an issue that is going to be on the forefront of voters' minds. Voters are concerned about whether they're going to have a job, can't we get a small business bill passed through this Congress? Where are the Republicans on the major issues of the day? They're not really going to vote based on whether this mosque is built on Ground Zero.
The problem he has is the combination of being on the wrong side of these hot-button issues, the Arizona immigration law, the Ground Zero Mosque, and the fact that his economic program is not working. If deficit spending were the key to economic growth, as is the premise of his economic program, unemployment would be plummeting in this country. Instead, it's stubbornly above 9% and it's going to stay there for a very long time. So the combination of those two things is really deadly for Democrats. It's why Obama's approval is scraping near 40%. It's why Congress's approval is 11 or 12%, depending on what poll you look at. And Democrats are looking at an absolute disaster in November. Now, the example of Clinton shows you can recover as a president from that kind of midterm disaster, but it requires moving to the center. So far, President Obama has shown no interest in doing that.
It requires some message discipline, and I think he should be out there talking about why targeted tax cuts and extending extending the Bush tax cuts to families making under $250,000, that would lead to economic recovery.
So are you disputing that President Clinton went to the center after 1994?
Gentlemen, we got to wrap it up there. We're going to leave that as the final word. The debate is unfinished, so we'd love to have you back and do that sometime.
The question just hangs pregnantly in the air.
It does until you're back. Until you're back. Rich and Bernard,
so
thank you very much.
See you guys.
Thank you.